Hey, I'm here to talk to you today about how you can start making money with a laser, and you don't even have to invest really all that much money into it just to get started. As a caveat, I personally just started lasering back in February. I started with a small CO2 laser and have graduated to a much larger CO2 laser and a tiny collection of diode lasers ranging from 5 watts to 22 watt. Even though I've only been lasering for such a short amount of time, I still have a lot of good business sense. And I've been able to actually turn a pretty decent profit every month just part-time lasering and selling items. I'm going to go through my top 5 selling items one by one in this video, but with a fall flair. Seeing as how we're coming up on the fall market season, a lot of these items might actually speak to you or be things that you would want to make to sell in your booth or even just online. All of the files that you see me do in this video are going to be located on my website. I'll provide the blog link directly to where I've posted those files in the description below. So, without further ado, let's get into it. First off, this is a no-brainer. You gotta have a laser. You can go probably as low as like a 10-watt laser for cutting wood. You can go even lower to a 5-watt if all you care about is engraving pre-made items. You can certainly buy a lot of blanks, and actually most of the stuff that I'm going to show you today can be used with blanks with the exception of 1 or 2 items. Diode lasers are your entry mode laser. They are going to be the ones that cost the least, require a little assembly, and a lot of love to figure out your settings. But in general, they're very beginner friendly as long as you know how to use a screwdriver and a hex screw. For initial investment into something like a diode laser, you're looking at somewhere between $400 and $1,000. That really just depends on the brand name, the kinds of features it has, what it comes with, bundles, and if there are any sales. Also power. The wattage does matter. The diode laser I'm using in today's video is the AlgoLaser Alpha. It is a 22 watt diode laser with a 400mm by 400mm work area. For the first items I like to cover, earrings. This has been one of my #1 sellers. It's a scrap buster, and I can do them as danglies, I can do them as studs, and I can hand paint them very easily using Posca acrylic paint markers. Typically, I will sell a pair of earrings maybe for $7 to $10, depending on how complex they are, how much customization they require. Like, how much did I really have to sit down and paint that thing by hand? And sometimes I don't even really need to paint, especially if I just cut out acrylic, which of course you're limited to on a diode laser. You will need to go to a CO2 laser if you want to cut transparent acrylics. But I find that wood is a really nice medium and provides me with a really good canvas to do cute little designs just like these pumpkins and these maple leaves and the little pumpkin spice latte cup, because who doesn't love a little pumpkin spice when fall comes around? Haha, bad people. It only takes me 5 minutes to spit out these little earrings, this whole set here with 3 pairs of earrings. I can turn around and I can sell it for probably is $10, just something nice to have at a craft fair that's low-hanging fruit, that's really good, and also gosh darn adorable for the fall. Next on my list is keychains. You can buy these keychain blanks straight up off of Amazon, Temu, other websites where you can get bulk items like this. I bought an entire box of 100 wooden keychains with finished wood and all of the metal hardware intact for less than $20. These are items that I would consider to be laser engraving blanks. For those of you who are familiar with embroidery, you know that in machine embroidery we have a lot of blanks. Hats, scarves, beanies, etc., etc. Teddy bears, for some reason teddy bears. Well, with the lasering world, it's not much different. We have our blanks too. And these are really awesome. And since they're so cheap, you don't really have to turn around and charge like $1 million for the darn things. You can also batch them. As you can see, I have created a jig that allows me to do probably 12 of these at a time on one of these diode lasers. These are limited in size in terms of what you're going to be doing for designs, but They are very quick and easy to churn out. You can put them up, again, as low-hanging fruit at a craft fair, because let's be honest, no one's coming to my booth to buy a $100 mini backpack. The third item on my list is slate coasters. Yes, you can do them out of wood, absolutely, but I love slate coasters. These engrave so beautifully. They contrast with the base slate and come out with this really nice kind of off-white color for the areas that are engraved, especially adding in a little score line around the edge of your engraving design, and it just pops. I buy these things in packs of 50 from Amazon with little rubber bumpers on the bottom of them already, so I don't have to have the added cost of purchasing cork to slap on the bottom of these. You can, just like with the keychains, create a jig to do an entire set of 4 coasters in one pass with your laser. The one thing I will say about slate is that you are going to want to cover it with a little bit of an acrylic enamel sealant right after you're done. Just pop it really quickly. You can use a gloss, semi-gloss, or even a matte color if you don't want to have that extra shine to it. I use a semi-gloss, and I think it's got just enough sheen to really stand out, but it also makes it so the newly engraved portion of the slate coaster isn't porous and takes stains. Pricing for the slate coasters is basically $1.50 per coaster, so I sell them in sets of 4 for $20. That's a pretty big profit. The fourth item on my list, ornaments. Woo, not really a fall thing. Not really, but I'm going with the fall theme just in general for this video. However, the holidays do quickly approach, and ornaments are going to be king for all sales. You might hate your life for it, and you may spend hours listening to your laser pew pew, but you'll thank me later because the ornaments are divine. There's so many different ways to do ornaments. You could do these out of acrylic, but I love the natural wood look. I actually didn't stain this one because I cut it out of a mahogany. It's maybe 5 millimeters. It's never exactly the right size that it says on the box, but it's supposed to be a 1/4 inch mahogany. And I just loved the way that it looked, and I didn't want to stain it, so all I did was cover it with a little bit of polyurethane to make sure that the wood was protected. Ornament pricing might be up to you on what you want to do. For an ornament as simple as this, I would probably only charge maybe $5 for it. There's not a whole lot going on with it, and it's rather small. If I got a little more intricate and it had several layers and I hand painted it, then I would probably charge closer to $8 to $10 for an ornament. Again, pricing really is up to you, but just so you know, I can do one of these in 1 minute. It cost me maybe 20 cents to make, and that leads to a lot of profit. Finally, the last item, signs. You can make signs just by cutting. You don't even have to engrave. If you just do score lines to mark placement where you can put the items and then cut everything else out, you can individually paint pieces and then use wood glue to get them glued on. For this sign, I went ahead and I cut everything out, and then I used what is called the baby wipe technique to paint acrylic onto wood, but not have it be so thick that you can't see the wood grain anymore. For something like this, since you're going to be basically polyurethaning it afterward to protect everything once it's done, you don't even have to use super expensive acrylic paints. They should be somewhat decent, you know, but you don't have to go hog wild and get professional level acrylic paints from an art store. You can just use whatever you get in those tiny little bottles at a craft store. Add a little bit of twine and you have a sign. Oh, that's an accidental rhyme. Oh God, I'm one of those people. In all seriousness, signs are one of my biggest sellers. You can take personalizations from families and put their names on the signs, or you can take funny quotes from people's favorite movies, like Step Brothers. Now, signs do actually take quite a bit of extra work, especially if you're going to be providing hanging hardware for them and need to have multiple layers. So typically when I do a sign and I don't want to have twine as the hanging mechanism, I will do 2 layers, and the backing layer will have holes for nails to go in, and then I'll also add an extra layer for the copy of a hanger, so it just provides a little more depth for the nail to bite onto, because it's really just depending on the weight of the sign. Sometimes you need a little extra give for that nail to kind of stay in place. Typically for my signs, they're anywhere between $25 and $45 for this particular size. And again, a lot of it depends on how is it going to be hung. For this one, this would be on the lower end of the spectrum because I'm just putting twine on it. I don't necessarily finish the back. And yeah, it's not like a ton of work. So I can churn this out maybe in, I don't know, 10 minutes minus the time spent to watch the paint dry. And of course, there are tons more items that you can make with a laser cutter or laser engraver in order to make back all of your investment and all of the gold-plated latinum and the galaxy it would ever want. The items that I selected today can be done alone with a 10-watt diode laser. No need to have anything bonkers like a rotary or anything else as a gadget to go with your laser. I will say, however, that tumblers are a big seller. It's just you would need to have a rotary for your laser. A lot of them do have rotary accessory options. It's just you have to typically pay extra for them. Thank you so much for your time. If you want the files that were used in this video, then you can look at the link down below in the description where I have put all the information for where you can find these lovely files and where you can buy the AlgoLaser Alpha if you have any interest in researching it and picking up a 22-watt diode laser. Feel free, as always, to leave your comments or questions below. I do routinely check comments and questions that are left on my videos. Feel free to like and subscribe to the channel as well, and I'll see you next time.